right, here we go. So here I am in my wet hair glory. Hopefully I will fix that and do kind of like an outro thing. But I am going to tell the story about my stillbirth. So it was about 6 years ago. My husband and I had been married for a few years several years. We waited a few years, made sure our jobs were stable and everything. I guess I'll get going here. I already put foundation, for those who care. I put foundation and concealer on already, so I'll just kind of proceed trying, obviously the old natural way for a while, for years, just years of just constant failure, which is super encouraging. Really helps out a marriage to not be achieving, a nice goal, a goal that seems like it should be, it's not an evil thing that we were trying to achieve. We were just trying to get a baby. So that was tough. We're so fine as a married couple, but it was hard. I don't envy people who are going through that. It is a tough position to be in when you're just constantly trying to have a baby and you just can't. And a lot of people around you will probably easily conceive, accidentally conceive, lots of jokes about it. I heard them. Not helpful. Ended up kind of abruptly moving to Colorado. My husband was working a particular job that job relocated. We did not want to go, so we moved to be near my family. We thought we were basically infertile. We had actually gone and sought help at some point, and they were like, yeah, you're not, it's not impossible. You're just probably not going to conceive naturally. So we were like, okay, well, we'll deal with that later. It was just, we had to obviously figure out our living situation. So we moved in with my parents for a few months. Since it was such an abrupt move, we ended up conceiving at my parents' house like a couple months in. So that was really crazy. That was really, honestly, kind of scary. It was not expected. It was a whirlwind. So we were very excited, but just stress mounted because we had to quickly just get our lives established in Colorado. Got our place, got everything together. I mean, as cheap as you could possibly go with the baby stuff, hand-me-downs. The pregnancy was kind of okay. Obviously, it was my first, so it was very strange. Pregnancy is bizarre. I don't think it's ever normal, but it was as normal as, you could expect. Towards the middle to end of the pregnancy, I wasn't feeling the best, but not bad. So I was in that office, have people check my blood pressure and stuff. And so that was always kind of like on my radar. We were even talking about inducing. The baby was big. Everything was fine. I went in for just like a regular screening. This appointment, they were like, oh, well, everything seems fine. Let's just check on the baby. We were at 38 weeks. So they checked through a Doppler. They're trying to find the heartbeat. Could not find it. That was very tough. I went into an ultrasound room. There was just like, normally you would see the baby kind of moving and stuff. And so that was a hard memory for me for a while. Normally ultrasounds are like your favorite thing. You get to see your baby and they're moving around that heartbeat, all those little chambers are moving around totally still, completely nothing, So at that point, there's nothing you can do. We scheduled a induction for that night. The hospital had like a protocol basically for this kind of thing. After the stillbirth, I had kind of done research because I was just like so blindsided during this time of just like, what happened? Was it my fault? Going through so many emotions, and basically it was just like 1 in 300,000 babies will just, not go to term, and it's nobody's fault. My OBGYN is very nice, and she was just constantly saying like, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. We've done everything we can with testing. Was not something you did. It was not really your body that kind of failed the baby. It was most likely the baby's body, something that we just don't know. We didn't do an autopsy or anything because that felt, I wouldn't judge anybody for doing it because I am curious of the reason, but to hear the cause of death would not have been helpful. We did all the other tests basically, and everything was fine that normally would have been, cause for concern. We ended up getting him cremated. That way we just kind of always have him because he was, he was always ours. We got to hang out with him for like 5 hours at the hospital. Ultimately had to leave him. He looked like he was sleeping when he first came out. I don't know, it's rough, but it was comforting in a way to like meet him and see him. We had a free service where a professional photographer came and took our picture with him. Took mostly the pictures were him, some with us. You know, it wasn't like a happy photo shoot by any means. Those pictures are honestly, it's morbid, but I love those pictures. They're so amazing. Like to be able to see him, and they're very like artsy. So there's like pictures with like our hands together and his head, because he had a full head of hair. You know, his name is David. So we cherish those. They were all over the house for a while. I've since, you know, it's 7 years ago, so I've since kind of like scaled back a bit, because it is, I don't know, if you have gone through this, you'll find that it just makes a lot of people immediately very sad to hear about it, which is so sad that you kind of almost want to guard the information. I have found that I'm just going to tell people because it is my story and it is important, and I don't want him forgotten. He was a big part of my life, and I loved him, and I, you know, tried to do the best for him. That's been my way of healing. My husband's a little bit more, he's not going to necessarily volunteer that information. I don't think either way is better or worse. I think it's just kind of however you can cope. I went through counseling and everything to just unpack all of this craziness that was thrust upon us. And so I think that helps a lot. I think if that is available to you, I would definitely take it. It's a horrible thing to go through, but you'll see there's just so many, you kind of see who your friends are, to be honest. Like there's so many people who, you know, you wouldn't necessarily think you're that close with them, and then they'll just do anything for you. Like, and then you're like, okay, well, I guess we're good. Like we're, you know, this friend or family friend. There's just so many people who just kind of stepped up, even though no one had to. But you have like that, you know, through churches and stuff, there's like a meal train. So people organize and give you meals and stuff. So we had that. So we didn't necessarily have to worry about cooking a whole lot. So I was home for a couple weeks, but you know, it was hard. I was very medicated during the birth. So the recovery was tough. Through all this stuff, there was a verse that kind of came to me, that had come to me during this very difficult fertility journey, where I just was like, what is going on? It was hard when we didn't have a baby for a long time. So one night I randomly was just kind of like I wasn't really that strong of a Christian at the time, but I was just kind of like, God, what is going on? Like, this is just not fair. I want this to happen, and I don't understand why it's not happening. So there was a verse, Psalms 127:3. It says, look, children are a gift from the Lord, and fruit of the womb is a reward. I literally just like flipped through the Bible, picked one, and that verse was right there. Even as like in my despair of losing my baby, and my despair of like, you know, trying to be there for my husband, he's kind of trying to be for me, but it's like two people drowning, and you can't really save each other at the same time. You have to kind of, it's just this really hard thing. So throughout that time, I was just like, okay, I am not mad at God. I don't feel like he took this away from us, but I am so hurt and so upset. And so I tried my hardest. I really wasn't walking with the Lord that close, but I was like, I want you in with me with this. I want you here. I need your strength, because I'm so confused. I'm so hurt. When you go through a stillbirth, you have a baby. So your body has built a baby. So you can't have a baby right away. They are very clear on that, because that next baby, your body's just not ready. It needs to replenish. So you have to wait 6 months before you can conceive again. So started on that journey. So I took it very seriously. I became like a big hippie. I was eating super clean, lots of crock pot meals. I was still working like long hours and stuff, but I was like, this is my biggest priority. This baby, I will absolutely sacrifice everything for the months that it's going to take to get this baby born. And you know, I'm here. It was a very stressful pregnancy. It was hard to feel relaxed ever. But lo and behold, Eli comes. Eli's birth, it was an extremely emotional thing. For the moms out there who want the details, did not want to have an epidural or anything like that. I wanted to be mobile, and with epidurals, you're basically like paralyzed essentially. So I wanted to be able to like stand up, walk around, get in the tub, whatever. I ended up getting Pitocin because my body was not ready to go into labor. It was 37 weeks, a week before the stillbirth, because they didn't know why, and so they just wanted to protect everything. So Eli was early, so we induced him. He came out, and it was just like so many staff members in there because he was early, so they were preparing for a baby who wasn't ready for the world, which he kind of wasn't. He recovered super well. He was only in the NICU for 5 days. It was great. He was happy. Because I didn't have an epidural, I was able to go see him pretty much right away. I think it was like an hour. I had to kind of get stable, and then I got to go physically hold him. After having Eli, we went through like this period of time with Eli where I just had palpable anxiety for a long time. I was so overwhelmed with all the anxiety. Like now I'm almost more stressed out because now this baby is my responsibility and I have to take care of him and make sure he's okay. So I was just very anxious for years. I saw a counselor for a while, and it was almost like the more I talked to the counselor, this is me personally, but with this kind of issue, I was like, okay, you can identify. We got so close to the root of the cause. Why are you shopping? Why are you spending money? Why are you just mindlessly browsing forever? It was just basically a way to disconnect. But I was like, okay, cool. Now what do I do? I know the reason. I basically just had a come to Jesus moment years after Eli was born. And I was just like, I cannot have this anymore. I cannot have this stress. Please take it away. I can't be responsible. Please let me just live my life the best I can, and please take this away from me because I cannot hold this anymore. I cannot be responsible. I feel like the closer that I got to God, the more my anxiety just kind of wasn't controlling me. It wasn't taking over. After that point, I've just become reading my Bible more. I'm just becoming more, taking my faith a lot more seriously. And I feel like it is, oh my gosh, it's a night and day difference between feeling just so out of control and so stressed out and so preoccupied. If we focus on material items, shopping, constantly just mindlessly shopping and mindlessly living a life and just being on autopilot, that is not a fulfilling life. That is not what will make us happy. That is not what will make us joyful. That is not good for our kids. That is not good for our soul. It is just not good to be focused on material items. That's why I don't really want to say what I'm using. I was in that game of like, oh, that's better. Oh, that's better. That's better. Well, the best thing that we could possibly do is focus on our relationship with God and what He has brought us out of, how He has saved us, and basically just putting all of our stress and anxieties on Him. It's honestly kind of the best system ever because I can't be in control of this. I know I have no power. That is what the stillbirth taught me. I have no power. Talk to Him, give Him all of your concerns, all of your worries, and trust. All right, well, I had to kind of cut that last part off because the dog started barking at the postman. So here I am, the final reveal. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I don't know what brought you to this video. I just know on my end, I felt very pulled to do a video and to record our experience, my experience through all of this stuff, through this very confusing time. Time did heal. I feel like I can talk about it easily 7 years later. It is something that's very near to my heart, and I really, really, really hope that if you're going through something like this, that you're able to put any kind of stress that you have or any misery or just turmoil that's going through your life right now, that you're able to kind of commit that to God and just give it to Him. You'll still be sad. That is just kind of a conditional feeling that when we go through something terrible, we just don't feel very good for a little while, and that's okay. But just know that God is with you. I know that's not the easiest to hear. It is confusing. It will get better, and it will especially get better in a more streamlined way if you're able to kind of just release some of that trauma to him. Talking about it is good, but you know, there's nothing that really takes it away except for Jesus. So I just pray that if that's something that you're able to do right now, that you can do. If you just watched the video for whatever reason, thanks for making it to the end. I hope that if anybody gets any kind of encouragement from this, then I guess that's why I did it. So I hope you have a good day and just stick close to him. All right, bye.